Hello and welcome to Tuesday's edition of Movie News here at MBE. Sorry, we're a little late, folks. Had a few technical issues before we come on.
New,
we were also trying to experiment with a few other ideas, which we will reveal once we get it up and running, John. But as you can guess, John is with us once more.
Yes.
And we're going to go right into this because it's news.
I'll not be here, Stephen. It'll be a sad
and that day, John, I'll not be here either. But listen, news that just broke 4 hours ago here in the UK to do with the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Apparently there's a CG movie reboot in development. The new film is set to be produced by Seth Rogen, Evan Goldberg and James Weaver through their Point Grey Pictures banner, and has landed Jeff Rowe to helm the project while Brendan O'Brien is attached to pen the script. Now, I've got a few wee quotes here, John, from the president of Kids and Family for Viacom CBS, Brian Robbins, I think his name is, adding Seth Evans and James Genius to the humour. I almost said that as if that was another person's name, or genius, to the humour and action that's already an integral part. He's a bit of a big head, this guy, calling himself genius. Listen, I will start that one again, right? Adding Seth Evans and James's genius to the humour and action that's already an integral part of TMNT is going to make this a next level reinvention of the property. I'm looking forward to see what they do, and I know that Ramsey Nato and her team are excited to take the Nick Animation Studio into another direction with their first ever CG animated theatrical, John. Now, I've always been a big fan of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Had the early video games from the late 80s. Saw the movie in 1990. I had one for the, what was it now? It might have been the Sega Mega Drive, I think as well.
Probably the Master System or the Amiga.
And I also I did the review for Turtle Power, the history of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles from 2014. I think it was on a Netflix documentary, part of that thing. And from what I recall, it was a very in-depth documentary. You know, it was very interesting. But this is interesting, John, because it's been a very start-stop franchise over the years. Like I mentioned, you know, they hit the big screen in 1990, which I thought was a very good film at the time, with the animatronics in 1990, John, for the facial expressions, etc., were a little bit dodgy now. You know, I think it was maybe their mouths were moving, that was as much as you got, but at the time it was very good. You know, we had the CGI TMNT, I think it was titled, in 2007, which I wasn't really interested in. I think after the sequels, which came out, I think 92, 93, from the initial release one from 1990, I kind of lost interest after that. So I didn't even see that film. And then there was the Michael Bay 2014 one, which was absolutely panned by critics, John, as I recall.
Michael Bay, Stephen.
Yeah, and then there was initially an announcement a couple of years ago that he was going to do a reboot of it again, but I think just with the sort of negative responses from the 2014 one, they just shelved it. So it looks like it's gathering traction once again with a different production company, Seth Rogen at the helm as well. So if he can get his sort of, hand in there and get his sort of mark on this could actually work, John. What do you think?
Stephen, I think it could potentially work with a Seth Rogen guiding hand, because he has a very characteristic style of humour. Does Seth. And just bringing him in conjunction with the two other guys that you mentioned, bringing in perhaps their creative flair, their ability to write stories which seem to transcend demographics. We've seen it with, pretty sure he was involved in Superbad. I may be wrong.
He was.
Sure he was involved in Superbad. Also Pineapple Express is the other one which springs to mind, him and James Franco. Just something about this guy, he's very funny. We've seen him doing a slightly more serious role with, who was in it? It was last year. It was a sort of rom-com one where he
does them from time to time,
a sort of government official over in the United States. This is a guy who knows what he's doing. Certainly in this type of genre. Could he rejuvenate this franchise? Because it's a franchise which is dead in the water as it stands at the moment, Stephen. Michael Bay, I mean, this guy's just damaged goods now, isn't he? After Transformers and whatnot, even look, they were going to bring back Michael Bay and have him do 2 more, I believe, Transformer movies after Bumblebee. But the scene sense, it was a chap who did Kubo and the Two Strings, whose name completely eludes me at the moment.
Yeah.
Not a good start to the show. I'm already forgetting director names. But they brought him in. It was a much better experience. It was a great story. It wasn't balls to the wall action and just superficial CGI stuff going on in that Bumblebee movie. And I think the studio then seen sense and said, well, look, no, we're going to stay away from Michael Bay. And he's sort of...
Travis Knight, John.
Travis Knight, he's a great director. Stay away from that sort of divisiveness, because a lot of people don't like Michael Bay movies. And he's now doing a COVID-19 coronavirus sort of dystopian futuristic thing where it never goes away.
Yeah.
What are you doing, Michael?
Depressing stuff.
So it's good that they're kind of disconnecting from Michael Bay, because the guy's had a mare the last few years.
Yeah.
He had a mare with that 2000 and what did you say, 16 movie? 14?
14, yeah.
Didn't even know it existed.
Yeah.
There you go. I think it's the correct decision. Make a fresh start. Bring in new minds who can perhaps lend something different to it. Do something different with these characters, because they are sort of iconic characters. Certainly from the 1990s. Growing up in the 90s.
Yeah.
I loved them. I was obsessed with them. I had the toys. I had the game, as I says. I recall perhaps 2. I think I missed out in the third one. I think you says came out in 92, 93.
Yeah, I think it was a medieval one or something.
Yeah,
I can't
the
remember.
CG stuff I've completely missed. But again, a CG movie, Stephen, done correctly. We've seen it in recent years with the likes of Paddington and Peter Rabbit and The Secret Life of Pets and stuff like that. If you can harness the CG and maybe mix it in a sort of live action setting, it can.
Christopher Robin was another one.
Christopher Robin was another one.
Yeah.
It's all about the casting. Domhnall Gleeson was in Peter Rabbit. Really inspired casting choices. Hugh Grant playing a villain in Paddington 2. If you can get the characters and just right and get the voice acting there and surround them with really high caliber live action actors. And I don't know, is it going to be Seth who's actually directing? Is he just writing and producing?
I think it's just his company, John,
well,
along with the other chaps. But that,
the other key thing's going to be director.
Yeah, I think that was the same as Superbad, though. You know, he wasn't the director on that. I'm pretty sure. I'd have to check that.
I think he was maybe involved in a production.
But you can tell he's got his hand in it. You know, in certain scenes, it's classic Seth Rogen. You know, especially that quickie mart scene, you know, with the ID. That was definitely Seth Rogen.
He played a copper, didn't he?
Yeah. Along with your man, I can't remember his name, I have him here. The one that does the impressions, he's actually doing a lot of the deep fake stuff on YouTube just now. I can't remember his name. But I'm very interested in it, John. I think it's time to have a good Turtles movie again. You know, it's you mentioned it, John. The characters are there. They're likeable characters. Not Jonah Hill, not.
The other one?
I can't remember. I'm not dwelling on it.
Bill Hader.
Bill Hader, that's who it is.
Great Bill Hader, man.
So,
Saturday Night Live.
My camera might go, by the way.
I think
like it did last night, so we better be on the ball for that. But yeah, I just think it's time. And I think doing the CGI sort of route is probably the correct thing to do. Whether or not they'll, sort of balance it out with some live action, who knows. If it's CGI completely, it wouldn't bother me. I'll watch it, especially if you get the right people involved. And I'm looking forward to it. I don't know if you've got anything more to add, John?
Just briefly, I will say that you're right about what you meant. Oh, I'm wrecking the joint here. What you mentioned about animatronics and whatnot, the dodgy lip movements, mouth movements and stuff, they can't go down that route against Stephen. We've seen the Donald Trump thing in the House of Presidents or whatever it's called in one of these Disney or Universal theme parks. It's god awful, man. It doesn't. I think they originally created Hillary Clinton thinking she was winning the election and then repurposed it to a sort of Tango Man, fat Donald Trump animatronic figure. It doesn't work, man.
Creeps you out.
So you really do need to go down the CG route. And again, it's just a question of casting off the shackles of a movie of its era, of its generation. Can it transcend? Because the answers that we're seemingly getting in recent years is that it isn't transcending well from the 90s into the noughties 21st century. People aren't going to watch the movie, so could it be that Seth Rogen could rejuvenate it? Perhaps he can. Time will tell, no?
Time will tell,
certainly
John.
Hope he does.
And hopefully we're talking about it again and it's in production. But cowabunga, Cineworld pushes back reopening by 3 weeks as movie releases reschedule. This is here in the UK, John, obviously. Cineworld, we are members of the Cineworld Pass. For the time being anyway. We've not used it since... What was the last one we said? That Hunt one?
The Hunt?
Yeah, that was the last one we saw.
Yeah.
Oh, it's so long ago, I can't even remember.
VOD shortly after that.
Yeah, probably should have just kept it for VOD. But Cineworld, headquartered in London, confirmed today that it's amending its original prediction regarding the opening date of its cinemas from 10th July to 31st July, adding in an additional 3 weeks of preparation. This comes after reports that the cinema industry is set to see falls by £900 million this year, the worst since 1996. I don't know what happened in 1996 for that.
It was perhaps a financial crash.
Right.
Was that 93?
I don't know.
I honestly don't know. John Major was involved in a financial crash.
Under government guidance, cinemas are allowed to reopen from this Saturday, 4th of July, with increased social distancing measures in place, but the release of upcoming films for Disney and Warner Bros. Have been postponed until August. Now, this is a kind of matter-of-fact, thing that we kind of expected anyway.
Yeah.
The minute you find out films are all starting to, reschedule 3 weeks later, etc., Tenet, Mulan and that, it's going to have obviously an effect on the actual opening of the places that are going to house these films.
Yeah.
So it doesn't come as a surprise, John. It makes sense. Obviously, if the films aren't coming out till, beginning of August now we're talking, then it's no point opening the cinemas up. Although I think some will open them up with really strict measures in place for perhaps, films like, we were talking about Chris Nolan's Inception, things like that, where you'll get the core coming out for it, the sort of cult following, if you like. It's not going to be your average cinema goer. It's going to be
lunatic fringe.
Yeah, I didn't want to say that. But
you don't care about coronavirus.
No. But
is there impervious to it?
Yes. Yeah.
No virus from China is going to kill them.
We'll soon find out. But what's your thoughts on this, John? I mean, it's a bit of a matter-of-fact kind of an article, but what's your thoughts? Do you think this is a sensible thing to do?
I think it is, Stephen, because obviously, as you did say, there's no new releases coming out. They're pushing them back. Tenet was seen as the saviour of the box office in 2020. It keeps getting pushed back. It was originally, I think, July 17th, and then it get pushed back to July 31st. Is that even correct? Is it a 31st?
Yeah.
I have to think about that. Pretty sure there is. Yeah, there is. I'm pretty sure there is. 31st of July. Then the shoehorn.
You're doing that 30 days, has it?
Yeah, I was. It was in November, all this to 31. July is 31, and Tenet was originally, after the 17th, pushed back to the 31st. It's now been pushed back to August again. And we've seen the likes of Mulan, I think, getting pushed back. We've seen a whole host of movies being pushed back. If you're not given as big blockbuster new releases, then most people are not going to go out and risk their lives and putting on masks and being uncomfortable and not even being able to drink and eat popcorn and whatnot in the theatre for lower grade movies or for sort of re-releases. Although, Stephen, for me, I would go and I would risk it. I've had it. I mean, I know I'm granted at least 2 months of immunity, so
for a biscuit,
I'm only a month out. I've still got my immunity. I'll go in with a mask. I'll be fine. I would go and watch Empire Strikes Back in 4K remastered out in the theatres. That was the one thing that concerned me. I do think it's a correct decision, and it's now been bolstered by the news that perhaps we will get to see the likes of Empire Strikes Back next month.
Yeah.
My concern was they would release it in other territories like the United States, and then they would delay ours and we wouldn't get to see it, and all these other territories would see it. They'd bring it out of the theatres and it'd be too late for us. I want to see classic movies like this. I want to see the likes of Inception in the theatres again, and then go and see Tenet.
I'm coming from a different, obviously, perspective, because I did see The Empire Strikes Back in the cinema, John. I went to see it in the ABC in Sucky Hall Street. It's no longer there, sadly, a traditional theatre, and it was a great experience. But I know, obviously, for 4K, I think I'm very interested in seeing that, just to see the quality of the film in 4K. The other thing as well, this was something that we didn't really make a big deal of, and it was something we actually talked about, and it was one of our well-viewed videos as well, was Peter Jackson's Let It Be movie, which I think it's fair to say both of us are very disappointed that that's going to be shelved now till next year.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely, Stephen. I'm very disappointed to see that movie's not coming out. Incredibly excited to see what the hell he's managed to accomplish with that. But look, this coronavirus will subside in time.
Yeah.
It will be over at some point, be it 6 months, a year, and we will be back watching movies in the theatres, enjoying it, and perhaps a whole array of new movies in VOD, which just in the aftermath of this, it's inevitable. Things will change. Studios will not be continuing on the same strategies. We'll see mid to low tier movies going straight to demand VOD streaming services, and the big releases and the sort of event movies and just things like perhaps a Peter Jackson Let It Be documentary will get a limited stint at the box office, and the big ones will obviously be in the same time they've always been in, weeks upon weeks upon weeks, earning the money, hopefully. But it's a shame, Stephen, it's been pushed back, but I think it's the correct decision for safety of people. We're seeing whole cities and over here in the UK, like Leicester, being locked down again because there's little clusters starting to spread, and obviously of this virus. So until we know that it's absolutely safe, until we know that the theatres have got all the regulations in place, all the right safety measures, sort of, I don't know what they're going to do, mask wearing, maybe shielding for the customers and shielding for the staff, Lord knows. Till that's all in place, then it's the right thing to do. I digress. Yeah,
sensible move. But we'll move on, John, to our next article. This actually is it's a double sort of topic here, John. We're looking at the flip side of both these situations for sequels, and the first is The Invisible Man 2. Elisabeth Moss thinks a sequel depends on fan demand. The Invisible Man star Elisabeth Moss thinks the fate of potential sequel to her well-received horror film is in the hands of the fans. Moss explained that she said, look, if people want it, it's that kind of big part of what we need in order to do it. So put the word out there that you want it, and then I'll help. I think she means she will appear in it. What's your thoughts on this, John? Because we did the review of this a few months ago now, and they left the doors open. I think that was one of the things that we picked up on at the very end of the film. They've really left the door open. It's much like Darth Vader's exit from A New Hope, left hanging in the balance. In case this film's a success, we can bring this guy back, this creep back. Not Darth Vader, he is a bit of a creep, but
I don't think he's coming back, Stephen. No. That's the one thing I would say. I think it will be Elisabeth Moss who will turn villainous. Or perhaps some other nefarious figure will get their hands on the invisible suit. But the way that the vibes I got from the end of the movie was that she'd done him in. She'd got over her sort of troubled turmoil stuff that was going on in the movie, and she's now get a little glint in her eyes that she's perhaps disappeared.
The only way he's
coming
back is spirit wise, and I don't think they'll go down that road, John.
Slit, so.
But I think you're right. I think there was a little look in her face, wasn't there, at the very end that kind of left it hanging in the balance. But
and there was a theory that he wasn't the bad guy. It may have been Elisabeth Moss's character all along, who was a little unhinged, a little crazy.
That is good. That's clever.
So perhaps they can maybe play on that in a potential sequel. Stephen, I really liked The Invisible Man. It wasn't the greatest movie I've ever seen of all time, but I'm pretty sure it was Blumhouse working in conjunction with Universal. It was well directed, it was well paced. I enjoyed it. There was some little gaffes in there, little things that you're like, what is going on? Why is she not picking the gun up and just shooting people? Things like that. Little niggles. But you suspend your disbelief when you're watching movies like this. It's about a guy in an invisible suit. You know what I'm saying? It's not to be something that you go over with a fine-tooth comb and examine the intricacies of the story. It was good for what it was.
The budget, John.
The budget was incredibly low. It was about $8.5 million or something. They well and truly made a profit. And I can't see them not trying to springboard off that and give us a sequel which could again potentially earn millions upon millions of dollars. If indeed if Elisabeth Moss is offered, I can't speak, a role in a potential sequel, then I can't see why, if they make her more nefarious and do something fresh with the story, why it can't earn the money that the original. Invisible Woman. I think we had an Invisible Woman. We had all sorts of invisible movies in the 1950s and 60s. So.
Well, it does say here, John, that Universal has a planned film starring Elisabeth Banks as the Invisible Woman. I think this is possibly to do with the sort of the Monster Universe thing, that the studio are hoping will obviously rebuild itself with the success of The Invisible Man. But also in this article, which I pick up on, is it's to do with obviously fan power as well. If the fans demand and want, they don't always get what they want. But we've seen with the Zack Snyder cut sometimes.
And the Sonic.
If a lot of people, if a lot of people want something done and done right, a lot of studios do listen to the fans, and sensibly so.
Just not Star Wars fans.
No.
And actively ignore Star Wars fans.
And certainly not Terminator fans either, John.
No.
This is the sort of downside, but it's the same topic in regards to
it's
sequels.
Like upside to me, Stephen.
Yeah.
Let's not beat about the bush. This is a great thing.
Yeah, but from studio's point of view, Terminator Dark Fate star admits fans don't want a sequel.
You're goddamn right.
They didn't want this film. The minute I heard that Edward Furlong was killed off the first 2 minutes, I didn't want to watch it. But Terminator Dark Fate star Mackenzie Davis, who was one of the brighter points of the film, doesn't think that there will be a 7th Terminator movie, saying that there just wasn't a demand for it. Now, Davis was asked about the Terminator Dark Fate and if there would be another sequel. She said that while she is proud of what we did and loves the movie, someone's got to think that there'd be a demand for a 7th film is quite insane. Davis argues that the audiences wanted new things, not big franchises and multiple sequels. I've got to agree with her, John. I think most fans were looking for something fresh. The funny thing was, I think they were trying that the first sort of 20 minutes of the film. They were trying something different, they were trying something different, certainly killing off John Connor. And it could have opened up different things, but what did they do? They took the route of the exact same plot as Terminator 2. Yeah, just a different Terminator. Linda Hamilton stepped into the sort of protective leader of the Arnold Schwarzenegger from Terminator 2. Arnold Schwarzenegger had just stepped into the background, really. He was just there as a sort of
a drape.
Yeah,
drape
Carl.
Yeah.
Carl. It was just a token figure in the film. But
very funny, though.
I will say Linda Hamilton and Mackenzie Davis were probably the best things in the film.
Stephen, you says that Arnold Schwarzenegger was sort of resigned to being in the background, but for me, some of the best scenes in that movie involved him, and just his little sort of humanisms and jokes and whatnot. And you're right, Linda Hamilton, I hated the movie. I'm not going to beat around the bush. I thought it was an absolute catastrophe, a pile of...
I didn't like what they did with Arnold. I'll be honest, the reason for that, John, is the continuity thing, that James Cameron was adamant that this was part 3 of a Terminator trilogy. So if he's including the first one, and Kyle Reese says that this thing cannot be bargained with, it can't be reasoned with, it doesn't have emotion, it doesn't have, I can't remember what the other line is.
There's always a way out, though.
But Carol, he found love.
There's always a way out of this, though, Stephen. It could be, obviously, look at Obi-Wan Kenobi in Star Wars. He presumed that Darth Vader was more machine now than man. He couldn't be got at. There was no good left within him. Luke decided, nope, I disagree with that. He's my father when he found out in The Empire Strikes Back, and he set out to bring him back to the good and the light.
And he was a Jedi Knight.
Yes, he was a Jedi Knight. He was proven right. So perhaps from Kyle Reese's perspective in that movie, his dealings with these Terminator characters were that they couldn't be trifled with, they couldn't be changed.
They just didn't like Kyle Reese.
They just hated Kyle Reese. They hated men, Stephen. That's what it was. Probably, which is a theme in this movie. Maybe it could be that they could have had developed humanistic sort of traits and whatnot, and could have became, I don't know, more human like Carl did in Dark Fate. They just hadn't been around, sort of. Slightly different Terminator. I don't know, the Terminators long enough. They were trying to kill them in the future. They didn't have time to take one in and nanny it essentially and turn it into a painter decorator. Stephen, it was terrible. The more I speak about it, the more I just can't defend this movie.
I'm just letting you prattle on.
I can't defend the movie. A painter decorator. They bring Arnold Schwarzenegger back to a Terminator movie and they make him an effing painter decorator. The butt of the jokes. This is one of the greatest action heroes
Terminator
of the 20th century.
On the van.
Absolutely god awful, man.
Doesn't
and then
bladders.
You're right.
Yeah.
They take the John Connor character, they kill him off in the opening credits. They don't even, and not even in the movie. The movie hadn't even started.
I will say one thing, John. I hated the sequence, but I actually liked the visuals of it. I thought they handled it very well visually.
He wore the same clothes. The same clothes.
To TH them, yeah. He couldn't change your clothes apparently.
It's like 5 years later, he's still wearing the same t-shirt, and obviously Sarah Connor's wearing the same clothes as well. Lay's packets of crisps in Europe and perhaps in the United States as well. I'm bringing crisps into Terminator Dark Fate. That's how shite this movie is. I actually want to speak about crisps.
So you don't want a sequel? That's what I'm asking.
I do not want a sequel, Stephen. It was long and winded. I absolutely do not want a sequel with these characters. As I was getting into it, but I went off on a real tangent. They kill off John Connor at the start of the movie. They just replace him with a lesser sort of Hispanic female character. He was just doing the exact same thing that John Connor did. Why not just bring Edward Furlong back, or someone that looks like him, and keep that character? He was the soul of the Terminator. I thought
James Cameron was very sneaky, actually dropping that into. I can't remember what it was.
It was Comic-Con.
Was it Comic-Con? He was doing a beanbag, wasn't he? And he kind of mentioned, we've got Ed back as well. He didn't have to even mention that. He shouldn't have said it, because it built up the expectations of the fans. Tim Miller is guilty of this as well. There was a lot of noise coming from the production of this film. Prior to its release, that this was going to be setting up this big thing, and all these man babies are going to be very upset, etc. Everyone was upset, not just man babies, everyone was upset about this film. It was absolute garbage.
Steve, and it was garbage because the franchise is fundamentally dead. It's dead.
Did we have that in our list of top 10 worst films? I don't think we did.
No, I think we did. No, somehow Dark Phoenix escaped our top 10 list last year, but that was just because of
John
Fanatic.
Film,
Fanatic, John Travolta. Yeah. You have to move everything out of the way for that.
That was number 5.
That's just crazed John Travolta, peak John Travolta, post Pulp Fiction and Face Off. We thought the man was having a renaissance. He didn't have a Keanu renaissance. He just went after that. Absolutely shocking career he's had since then, and that was a god-awful movie, just horrendously acted. I don't know what he was doing in it, but Stephen, as I says, it's fundamentally dead. It should have been a duology. Terminator, I should say, I think it was called, the original one, and T2 Judgment Day. End it there. You can't have duologies, you don't have to have trilogies, you don't have to expand out every single goddamn movie into a franchise. They should have left it after Jim Cameron moved away. We get Terminator 3, it was okay. I didn't mind, what was the other one? Salvation.
Yeah.
I've still not seen Genesis because it's a shit show. Unfortunately, I did see this, and it was an absolute catastrophe to the branding of Terminator. So I do not want to see a sequel. I'm delighted that Mackenzie Davis, despite being not bad in it, is saying that the fans don't want a sequel.
Better. Yeah.
She has been in better, I presume. I don't know. Has she? I've not seen her since this. Maybe I have, I don't know. But Stephen, look, I am finished, man.
I'm done.
I am finished ranting about Terminator.
Like the Terminator franchise, I'm done.
It's dead, it won't be back, and I'm glad. I'm absolutely delighted. I'm dancing on its grave like Dave Grohl in some video back in the day. But look, what the hell do you guys make about a potential Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles CG movie with Seth Rogen and gang helming it, producing it? What do you think about that? Is that something you want to see? Is the franchise redeemable, or is it dead in the water? What's your thoughts on cinemas over here in the United Kingdom, if you are from here, being pushed back a further 3 weeks from opening up? What do you make about the Invisible Man, potentially fan demand being the driving force behind a sequel to that? Do you want to see a sequel, or do you want it just to rest and be a great little self-contained movie? What's your thoughts on Terminator Dark Fate? Should we have a continuation of that shit show of a movie? You can comment below and let us know what your thoughts are down below in the comment section. If you disagree, incidentally, with that last point, that's okay. All things are subjective. One man's trash is another man's treasure. You can also like the video if you've enjoyed us prattling away, and you can subscribe to the channel if you want to see us continue prattling away. You'll see me tomorrow on my lonesome, absolutely kicking my breeks, if that's a term. And you'll see me back with Stephen on Thursday, and for a movie review of, I want to say, You Should Have Left, the Kevin Bacon Blumhouse movie, on Friday. See yous then, guys. Potentially it's not working, Stephen, so I'll go to me and then I'll let you go. Bye bye, guys.